gentle perseverance. And the framing of this practice I learned from Gil Fronsdal. I love this phrase, gentle perseverance. Gentle. And it speaks to the attitude with which we fill the perseverance with. We fill it with this inner ease, openness, flexibility to help us let go of striving. As striving can really creep into our practice and starts to move into the corners of our daily lives and enter into our patterns. So actually getting really clear, having some discernment around when does striving come in, noticing how it feels in the body, the constellation of thoughts that are a manifestation of striving and over-efforting in our heart-mind. And then once we recognize it, just start to relax it. Relax it with this gentle perseverance. Sometimes it can be helpful to start a sitting practice or your stationary practice. Perhaps you do lying down or standing. Or it can be helpful to start a walking practice or a movement practice with just a word, a phrase, or an image, or even a poem that helps to foster this inner attitude of relaxation, ease, this gentleness. So I want to share the first few lines of a poem with you. And the poem is called The Spontaneous Vajra Song, because it's really helped prime my own heart and mind to just rest and receive. Right? Just resting back and receiving, bringing in this gentleness. Happiness cannot be found through great effort and willpower, but is already present in open relaxation and letting go. Don't strain yourself. There's nothing to do or undo. You can hold this in your heart as a reminder of resting back, bringing in gentleness. And this gentleness isn't, it can be active. Like, it's a gentleness that fills perseverance. So we're very clear about the direction that we're heading. There's a lot of discernment in the heart and mind, curiosity, interest, and aliveness and alertness. And all of those qualities have a gentleness to them, a kindness, an openness, a spaciousness, a relaxation. So when we start to let go of willing, of powering through, of striving, happiness and other wholesome mind states actually have a chance to arise in the heart-mind and start to bless our practice, the heart, the body, with some ease and perhaps even moments of contentment. So we can come to practice with very deep longings and very high aspirations. And inherent in these aspirations and these longings is a nobility. So some time ago, I was on the phone with a friend and she was having a really difficult time with someone that she really cares about. And she said, I just want to find the gold within our connection and nurture that and let go. Like, forget everything else. Let go of everything else that isn't connected with the gold of this connection that she really wanted to foster. And I love that because I feel like that attitude can be applied to our longings and our aspirations. In our longings, in our aspirations for practice is gold. It might be the wish for profound peace, or to be a safe space and a refuge for all of life, or to experience the highest happiness. So there's no need to actually banish our longings. There's no need to hold tight to our aspirations, because we recognize the gold, the beauty at the center of our longings, at the center of our aspirations. And when we relate to them wisely, they can actually fuel our practice. They can be inspiration for our practice. They can be onward leading. That said, if we're not mindful, if we forget to invite in this gentleness, the gentleness of this perseverance, if we forget to invite this openness, this gentleness, this kindness, our longings and our aspirations can fuel tension, over-efforting. And it's as if our internal systems of striving end up usurping our aspirations and the gold within our longings. And then it's as if they get usurped and we start to shame and blame ourselves when our practice doesn't match up with our aspirations, when there is a huge gap between our aspirations and how the practice is unfolding in the moment. And that's when the inner critic can come in and start to make our inner world feel so untenable and so oppressive that we just don't even want to practice. So we want to protect our aspirations. We want to protect our longings and the gold within them, making sure that they're not hijacked by the inner critic and over-efforting. So there are some ways that we can cultivate this gentleness within our practice. Just spending time in nature, looking out the window here, the hillside in a garden. And sometimes early in the day we have birds that swoop in because they're building nests right now. So just spending time in nature, attuning to the rhythms of nature can bring in this gentleness. Walking outside, taking in the vastness of sky can help prime this inner attitude of spaciousness and gentleness. So we bring a gentle attitude to the perseverance, flexibility, easiness, kind of a spacious attitude to the steadfastness of purpose. This is another way of framing perseverance. It's as if the perseverance actually comes out of a steadfastness of purpose, our intention, right? It ends up fueling perseverance. And it sees us through the vicissitudes of our practice, the highs and lows of practice, the seeming obstacles of practice. Oh, when we practice, we do encounter obstacles and delays, the hindrances, aversion, greed, delusion, comparing mind that may result in envy or jealousy, reactivity, impulsiveness. And patience can actually, this gentle perseverance can help us reframe our attitude towards these seeming obstacles and delays. We start to let go of our ideas of the practice and what it's supposed to be in the moment. We might be impatient to actually experience a particular state or repeat some meditative experience. And when we see these obstacles and delays as gateways and vehicles, it can be so freeing because they're the means by which we cultivate other beautiful qualities, right? So a hindrance arises in the mind, and we see it as, oh, this is actually a gateway, a vehicle, a means by which I can cultivate mindfulness. Because we can bring mindfulness to the hindrance, get to know it, understand the conditions that gave rise to the hindrance. We cultivate investigation and energy and other wholesome mind states that then carry us along this path toward freedom or whatever our aspirations for practice may be. So it's true, there are these seeming obstacles and delays within practice, these vicissitudes within practice, and this perseverance that is fueled by intention, purpose, keeps us steady through the highs and lows, the inevitable highs and lows of practice. In fact, one of the functions of complete patience as gentle perseverance is to actually help us live through the desirable and undesirable without falling into these extremes of reactivity, keeping our balance, right? Because when we experience or what our heart mind deems as a low within practice, We can start to take it personally. We can fall into despair. We can just give up and give into the inner turbulence that we're experiencing in the moment. But it's also interesting that one of the functions of complete patience as gentle perseverance is actually to help us live through the desirable, which I always found was really interesting. But when you think about it and you practice, you see like, oh yeah, sometimes there is a tendency to fall out of balance in regard to the desirable. Like we experience something that the heart-mind deems as desirable, as something beneficial, and we can be blown sky high into exuberance. We might start to experience a little complacency within our practice. We get a little too relaxed. So when we find our heart-mind starting to fall into either of these extremes, we can actually steady ourselves. And as steady ourselves, come back into balance by touching into the nobility of our aspirations and intentions, which fuel this perseverance, which fuel this gentle perseverance. You can be so helpful in those moments to just touch in. Like, yeah, it's like a touchstone, our intentions. Like, why am I practicing? Oh yeah, I want to be a safe space and a refuge for all beings. Okay, how can I actually use this seeming obstacle as a means to become, or to move closer to becoming a safe space and a refuge for everybody? I don't know how long ago it was, but I shared with you, I think it was in part 1, this text that I got from my friend. Have a magical retreat with your teacher. The conditions for awakening are there. Believe it's possible. So we can actually awaken within the conditions of our lives, the conditions of what's desirable and undesirable. However long it takes is okay. And this is another boon of patience. This is another gift of gentle perseverance. Letting go of timelines regarding our practice. Letting go of timelines in regards to living into our aspirations. There's a phrase that has served as a reminder for me that's helped me to let go of timelines when I feel myself starting to get impatient with my practice. And I learned it from Andrea Fella, who learned it from Kamala Masters, who learned it from her teacher, Menindraji. And here's the phrase: when the fruit is ripe, it'll fall from the tree. It's so simple, right? When the fruit is ripe, it'll fall from the tree. But we don't necessarily practice as if that's true. Like, we don't know when the seeds of our practice will bear fruit. So it's really none of our business to be checking every 2 minutes to see, am I concentrated yet? Am I closer to Buddhahood, or whatever your aspirations around practice are? And that's not to say that it's not helpful to every 6 months or every 12 months to take stock of our practice, to actually see, are the paramis actually strengthening? How is the practice actually developing and maturing? That feels like a mature way of reflecting on our practice. That's not impatience. We're actually bringing some maturity, some mature reflection to our development, and starting to assess, like, yeah, like the parami of truthfulness, the parami of patience is really, really strong in me, but maybe I want to work with renunciation. And then noticing that that's a little challenging for me these days. So taking stock of our practice, very, very helpful. Cultivating gentle perseverance, it shows up, it manifests as this steadfast purpose, intention, aspiration, perseverance that sees us through the highs and lows and the plateaus of practice. And this practice is filled with gentleness, this inner ease, openness, relaxation, and kindness, all in support of letting go of timelines. When the fruit is ripe, it'll fall from the tree. So thank you for your attention, thank you for your time, and I look forward to practicing with you during our last session, where we look at patience as accepting the various truths of our lives. Okay, take good care.